Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, here we meet again via Zoom. It's probably not gonna always be this way, but it is time for Not Talking Movies with Ron and me, Gene. Gene, how are you, young man? Good to see you.
Doing well, sir. I like your shirt.
I like yours too. It's like we're kind of like blue shirt buddies today.
Yeah, but you're in Nashville. I'm still Michigan.
And of course, the world famous 1 week into retirement, the one and only Ron Van Timmeren. How are you, Ron? Good to see you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful day.
You getting the itch to work again yet?
No.
It's been 1 week. Come on, it's been a week. Jeez, oh Pete.
I expect
This is as much work as I want to do right here.
really. Is there okay, now is there any concern that you're gonna like get fat because you're more apt to just sit around? I can't imagine you would. You look like you have genetics on your side to keep you from getting fat.
Yeah. It's so far so good. I mean, listen, I've been furloughed / retired since the middle of March, and I'm actually down 2 pounds from my fighting weight. So I've managed to stay active enough and kept that COVID 10, 15 or so off. Yes.
You know,
Gene?
I met this guy in, what was it, 89, 90 when I first met you, 89. And with the exception of this and this, he has not gained, and he looks exactly the same. He's tall, he's thin. That's the way he looked when he was whatever.
6'3", 200. Ding, 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 ding.
What was the environment that you met in, if you could, in 1989? Please indulge us.
I think I was working at W Light at the time, and you were doing the Dave and Jerry thing, and we were on one day, and we really got to know each other playing basketball, if you could believe that.
Right.
And that little school gym over where I used to live on Burlingame and 36th.
Right.
But yeah, that's where we first met. I think he was doing way back when in the late 80s, he was doing the At the Movies with Dave and Jerry on W Light. So, and I was working overnights.
Then also Gene worked at WMUS where we were doing, he was on the air with Mark and Pam, and we did a lot. We did a weekly call-in with that group, and we played basketball for many years. The Media All-Stars, touring group. We played like the Globe Trotters, and we played teacher, faculty stuff. It was fun.
Did you ever play
little guy?
I'm sorry. Did you ever play that touring group of Detroit Lions alumni?
I don't.
They're jerks. They're jerks.
Oh,
my God. There's a dude who runs the show. He might still run it. He's a teacher in Southeast Michigan. He played football at Grand Valley, and he played for like a minute in the NFL. His name's Rob Rubik.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Rubik, he's a jerk. He's one of the biggest jerks there is.
Well, don't mince words, Eric. What do you think of the guy? Seriously.
This guy, and I pretty much just call it like I see him. I couldn't believe the how rude this dude was. We're trying to do a charity thing. He's giving people the business. I'm like, shut up, man. What are you doing? But anyway, I completely digress. In 1989, W Light, and you were there till what time? What time frame? About 89, 90, 91?
Early 90s, and then I started bopping around. So I went. Was
it who was owning that station at that time?
I think it was still Liggett.
Okay.
Did Liggett own it back then? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, he did.
I know Phil Catlett was our GM, and I still see him every now and then on Facebook popping up.
I love that man. He is one of my favorite people ever.
I know.
He hired me here in Grand Rapids. And,
Did he?
Yeah. I'll never forget it because we were, me and Greg and Chris were in New Jersey, and then through the grapevine, long story short, found out that the GRD was interested. And so fast forward, I remember walking through the Ford airport. And at the end of the hall at the terminal, at the time you could go through, you didn't have to go,
right.
You could like meet somebody at the gate. And there was like this long term, no, I take it back. You couldn't because it was after 9/11. But at the end of this tunnel, we see, it was really strange because there's these two gigantic men, very, very tall men. Catlett is a giant.
Yeah.
And then at the time, there was a program director named Bob Duncan, who was probably about 6'9", 6'10". And I'm like, what? Who are those? It looked like a strange shrinking hallway because they were so tall. And we didn't know we didn't know who we were looking for. And then we just kept walking, and they go, "Hey, are you Free Beer and Hot Wings?" We go, "Yeah." And they go, "We're the guys." Like, "You are?" "Oh, hey,
You are.
hey, oh my gosh,
Ah,
these two giants." Oh, it was, and then he was Phil Catlett. I've told this story before, but it's worth telling again. It was such a visionary about what we did on our show, because our show never got traction in town. We were kind of just doing our thing, playing songs, talking, but he kept encouraging us, get this, to not play music. And that never happens anywhere.
Right.
And he goes, I think you guys have enough bullets in the gun that you don't need to play music. And we're like, "Oh no, we need those songs. We can't possibly do it." And he kept pushing us. The second that happened, we slowly did it. We weeded it out over time. And then that's when the show just took off higher than ever. And he was right. And I credit him for that. If he hadn't have encouraged us to do that, we never would have had the popularity we would have had. I wouldn't be able to do a podcast. It's all because of him.
Oh, Phil, we love him. Oh.
Yes. And still bopping around. I think, does he still work for the Chamber or the Better Business Bureau?
Is that where he is now?
I think it's the Better Business Bureau. I see him at the YMCA in the Belmont Northeast side, where I work out when there was gyms were open. But
right.
He's still working out. I see him at the gym.
Okay, now we got to get to the bottom of this. This was supposed to happen 24 hours ago. Okay, and I have no excuse other than I've just been kind of dropping the ball. This isn't the first time it's happened in the past week. I hope this doesn't become a habit. I am so sorry I left you guys in the lurch. And then I look at my phone. I'm like, "Oh no, I left the guys hanging. I'm so sorry. I probably owe you lunch."
Okay, lunch will do.
Right. We'll do that. That'll make up for it.
Yeah.
So no excuse. You just forgot, blew by it. Okay.
I'm normally reasonably kind of okay, but that was a complete, absolute failure.
You didn't have your phone by you? Because I know we texted you a couple of times. I mean,
yeah, the problem is I keep putting the damn phone on Do Not Disturb, and it's a terrible habit. I don't know why I do that, but because I need people to reach me all the time.
I thought, well, and it happened today too, because Ron's sending the text out, and it's like, "Eric, where are you, Eric?"
Yeah, I saw that.
No, there's no possible way.
At first, I was, because I at about 1:45, when we're recording this at 2 p.m. on the 4th of June, I was like, "All right, yeah, okay, now don't forget 2 p.m." And I was good, but didn't even consider the fact that you might be trying to remind me. And so when you get no response, you're like, "Oh no, he's going to do it again."
But you're here, so we all feel better. Now,
all right,
okay.
Listen, I have some news.
Please.
Obviously we all know that the state of Michigan is starting to open things back up again, but not indoor theaters, not hair salons, although I don't know why, and not gyms, and I'm sure there's others. But the Getty Drive-In Theater in Muskegon will open Friday, June 5. The first time that has happened since last September, actually. But
So a little late.
Yeah. But they're definitely the cracks in the theater business are starting to open, and it might probably be the end of June before movie theaters get to open with their new plan of social distancing and reserve seating and space out seating. And so they're doing stuff like, you got to buy your tickets online is the best thing. No cash. You can use your credit card. The bathrooms won't be open. There'll be porta potties. The concession stands open, but they'll let people in only a few at a time. You're encouraged to wear your mask when you go in to get your popcorn and stuff like that. And they're showing old movies because there really are no new movies to show. So it'll be a while before we get they get new movies.
Why are
Wow.
what do you mean there are no new movies?
Well, the Hollywood is sort of on hold and moved much of their new movie content, beginning with Mulan, which was supposed to come out at about the time theaters shut down, The Quiet Place 2, those kind of movies, the big movies for the spring. And then, of course, Black Widow was supposed to go in the 1st of May, and now that's moved back to the fall. All those big movies that were supposed to come out in April and May and even June, the Mission Impossible, or excuse me, the new Bond movie moved back to Thanksgiving. That was the one that was supposed to open mid-March. Anyway, all of Hollywood has moved those big movies back until theaters get open in big states like New York and California. They're still waiting for those guys to get open too. But right now, 4th of July weekend, there's going to be a couple of big movies opening up. And then Christopher Nolan's Tenet is sitting there at July 17, which is supposed to be the big kickoff to blockbuster season, albeit a couple of months late.
Wow. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. So do you know if with the June 5th opening of the Getty, that what they're planning on showing? Are they going to like bust out Jaws or like Smokey and the Bandit, or
I would have picked Jaws, but they went with Superman, the original Superman.
The original Superman is one of the worst. It's terrible.
No, come on. You believe a man can fly, Christopher Reeve, all that. Well, I think it's the original Superman.
So bad. It's so cheesy, and the special effects are the worst ever.
It was what, the 70s? I mean, come on.
I know.
What kind of special effects they had?
I can't. Their opening was Superman.
No.
Jaws was in the 70s too. You brought
Yeah,
that one up.
yeah, I know.
The band.
All right, maybe. I don't know. I would have thought they would have gone with some real thud, like Full Metal Jacket, or a good one for the kids, like Apocalypse Now.
Well, what are they opening with?
They have the old original Superman movie. They have the new Trolls movie is going to play there.
All right.
And another family friend. I'm trying to look it up while I'm on the phone with you guys, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it. But let me see if I can.
That's all right. That's
You
all
know
right.
what? He's been a week in retirement. You wouldn't know it though. He's like it's the old Ron, man. He's
after it. He's doing great. I mean, seriously.
Well, it's just great to hear that there are actually going to be movies here, and probably will be June, late June. Let's just say we're assuming. Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog. That's the other one. Trolls World Tour, the 1978 Superman movie, and then The Invisible Man, that thriller, for the R-rated crowd. All of those single features, and they're just doing $5 tickets, and so some old, some new, some in between stuff.
Gotta go with the Bad News Bears.
I like Jaws. That was a good choice.
Caddyshack.
You can
Caddyshack.
Yes, Caddyshack is
Bring it on.
You can do 70s night, 80s night, 90s
I would do
night
that.
themes.
Yeah.
All right.
They'll be doing some of that right up until the 1st of July. They'll start seeing some new big product coming in then. So I'll figure out what the lineup's going to be here and let you guys know. But at least some things are happening. But why can't anybody get a haircut these days? What is there a good reason why salons are still closed?
Well, I think it all boils down to the idea of staggered opening is just when you say it that way, the way you were saying, it's like, well, if they're open, why can't they be open? I think what she's trying to avoid is turning the faucet on as far as it can go, as quick as it can go. So whether that works or not, I don't know. And since there's no roadmap to this, and I know I'm I'm kind of like almost like in company line with her, but I do agree with it. So I guess it's worked so far, in my opinion. What's happened? I mean, you look at other states, and they're still struggling. California, Texas, they're in deep doo-doo. Michigan is dropping like a stone. They've really done a great job, I think.
Well, but the whole hairdresser thing, because most of that is one-on-one, one person, one hairdresser. A lot of these are self-employed, so they can't get unemployment. They don't qualify for the extra money. I know mine is.
I know it.
She's been dying. She's trying to get in I just don't see the reason why that particular one-on-one situation, is so dangerous.
Well, it
No.
maybe perhaps it would have made sense to open them up before restaurants. I guess six of one, half dozen,
exactly.
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Well,
At
but
the
you
end-
can go to your dentist. I went to my chiropractor. I mean, talk about one-on-one. I mean, they're
Yeah,
gonna
exactly.
rip my head
You know
off.
why? You know why she's doing this? She's punishing them because of that hillbilly up north in Owasso. That guy. You know that guy, Carl
You
Mankey?
ruined it for everybody.
I can probably. She's like, you know what? You don't mess with her. She's like, all right, okay, yeah. This is all Mankey's fault. It's his fault.
Tell you this much: there are a lot of hairdressers that are cutting hair in their house right now.
Yeah, I actually know of some that are doing that.
I know several of them up here.
Well, survive and adapt.
But you mentioned restaurants. You know what? It's Monday, right? The Monday is the first day that restaurants can open and for indoor seating with social distancing and all. And it was funny. Yesterday, I actually drove to Cadillac for dinner. Okay, it was like a little chance to do a little outing. But for the first time in 3.5 months, I got a chance to sit down and have a waitress who had a nice little mask on, bring me some food, sit out on the deck.
Yeah. Well, that's Cadillac. It's so the mask worked because you don't see her busted teeth.
She was.
Where'd you go with that?
She was a cutie. Come on.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
They're all cute behind the mask. You're right.
Have you noticed that the mask really makes people attractive? Like the women that you see with the mask, they can be like really bad news, like from here down. But when you see their eyes, they look hot as hell. I'm telling you, keep an eye out for that. And
that's the new fashion statement.
I think I'm gonna make my wife wear one night when we're in the bedroom. See how that goes.
If I were your wife, I'd wear one all the time. Like from here down. Just nobody knows me, man.
I'm gonna say I wasn't looking at her eyes anyway.
Oh, why? Yes. There you go. There you go. All right. So you went all the way up to Cadillac. Was about an hour drive for you up there?
Yeah. Well, it's about an hour from us. Yeah, we had to make a stop on the way. But don't tell Gene that I was in his neighborhood and I didn't.
Again, he was like a half a mile from my house and didn't stop.
You were out golfing. You told me you were going golfing.
No, when you came up here to Lakeside.
Oh, well, that time, yeah. That was my bad.
All right, don't worry about it.
Do you remember the first time you actually spoke to each other in 1989?
No.
Go back to the first encounter. You don't recall.
Well, Gene, you were you on the air then, or were you?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just. I may have been doing middays. I'm trying to think.
So
there you go.
So you were up on the air right after Dave and Jerry.
Yeah. Yes.
Was Bill Bailey at the radio station at the time?
No, that was it was Dave and Jerry and myself, Jeff Brown, and who did
there then? Steve
LeBenz.
Steve LeBenz or Steve the program? No, Bill Bailey came in.
Steve Dirksen.
Steve Dirksen.
Oh my God, I know Dirksen. He's classic.
Right, he's working with the Whitecaps now.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. Now, guys, since the last week, we haven't discussed this, but isn't it incredible how pandemic talk has vanished? The news cycle is focusing only on race and the death of George Floyd and everything going on here. It's been quite a spectacle. It's been absolutely just been all-consuming to this point. Where are your brains around this, Gene? Please.
Again, it's the media doing what the media does best, which is, and I'm not belittling what happened. It's a tragedy. Those involved are going to be charged. They will be sentenced. There's no other way. I mean, it's going to happen. But it's just the media has created this rolling thunderous effect that is now worldwide, because this is what they love to do. They love to create the event and then cover the event. Okay, the riots. None of these riots. they're fueled through the social media and through the media, just continually pumping it out time and time again. And I'm not, again, saying that it wasn't a tragedy that happened, because it was. And those involved will pay. But the aftermath to me is just, this is what the media lives for. And it's a shame. It's shameful.
Ron, you're quite a bit with Celebration Cinema in and around downtown. It had to hurt when you saw all of the damage being done, cars being burned. A lot of those local businesses that were already circling the drain after the pandemic now have to deal with all of this. It's like a perfect storm of terrible happening in our city, Ron.
Yeah, and yet it was pretty calm after the curfew went into effect. I was noticing that Kalamazoo got hammered, and then Grand Rapids dropped its curfew but Kalamazoo turned into a fireball. And Gene brings up an interesting point, and my wife even mentioned this too. It's like if no one covered the rioting, would there be rioting and looting? I probably there would be, because that is just one of those free stuff, let's go get it kind of crowd mentality sort of things. But then I was thinking, there's at least one story about a looter or vandal that, because of social media and because of the media coverage, was arrested after the fact. And I wish they could go back and look at all those people with their cell phones out and say, let's arrest that, identify that one and arrest that one. The people who are just coming in to create violence and
those who were paid. There were actually some that were paid to go in and incite these. Yes, that is
really shocking to me when I hear about those things, and I've only heard rumblings of that. I don't have anything to back that up, but it would not surprise me at all if people are trying to push an agenda, blend in with the appropriate people who are just saying, hey, we don't like to be treated this way, and then they end up messing it up for those protesters. It's downright
Most
terrible.
of the protests were peaceful, but
yes,
very few of those were covered. The ones that were covered were the violent ones. You know what? Kudos to Grand Rapids Television on, was it Sunday morning? The morning after, they were covering the cleanup downtown, that was really cool. Instead of just regurgitating and showing all the fires and everything from the night before, they were actually covering all the volunteers who came down to help clean up and paint the walls and get the trash out of there. It was a very positive spin on it. That was good. I did think that was well done.
And I also get the feeling that because this has become such a huge amount of people peacefully protesting, and even to the certain extent the rioting and looting that's going on here, that this issue is going to be dealt with maybe for the first time systemically. Even if you read about what the Minneapolis and the Minnesota people are doing about their situation in their state, and specifically addressing the whole issue of racism and the police action and so forth. I got a funny feeling that there's going to be some real change because so many people have risen up to speak out, and I don't think they can ignore this anymore. Nationwide, I really feel like there's a sea change here.
It is. It makes you wonder when you think back to times that this has happened before. How did those end? Did they just fizzle away and no one lifted a finger and they just hope it doesn't happen again? Is that
no. Think about Rodney King. That came up a couple of times. It was 92 or and that the rioting was sparked because those cops got off. Okay, they were acquitted, and that, like Gene said, that's not going to happen this time, or the world will implode.
Can you? My gosh! Can you imagine if that turns?
It's not. Boy. It just can't.
And then it's going to be brutal. Then it.
I don't want to sit and speculate about what could happen with regard to that, but it does pop into my brain to some degree about concerns about that. But I just hope that the appropriate justice is given out.
Right, and I feel like there's another generation. I certainly look at my kids and understand how they feel about racism and how they've themselves spoken out against racism. And I feel like a lot of our generation is now brought in a second generation that is going to be far more, it's going to be better. Let's just hope that the next generation is going to be better at this, and we can eventually get rid of all those racist assholes out there, and a new generation will be more tolerant.
100%. Well said, Ron.
I agree with you, Ron, but the problem is they're lowering the bar on what racism now is, so that I don't think it's ever going to go away. It's too powerful for a politician to be able, and for the media. Being racist these days is a very tricky thing. I mean, because stuff you used to be able to say and do 20, 15, 10 years ago even, you're now considered racist for doing it, even though you're not. So, I mean, out and out racism in the 60s and now, totally different. Totally different.
Right. Well,
but that's an example of when you see the progression of the way people think. And as one generation ages, the next generation, for the most part, is a little bit more level-headed about that sort of thing. And then slowly over time, the goal is that they weed out. They age out of their racism with their death,
Yeah,
And then,
the last show you brought it up with, who was that we were talking about? The late night show host who did the...
that would be Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. Okay, I mean, when he did that, that was not considered racist. Was it back then, or when Saturday Night Live first came on? But now they're dumbing down or making, it's just they're looking for easier ways to call people racist.
Well, maybe, but there might also be more avenues for people to make those things known than they were 20 years ago, because there's so much ease at which you can propagate your displeasure with whatever it may be. Right. And in an instant, it's around the world. So they may have been just as upset back then, but because they have people who would be offended by that have tools at their disposal to make that known, they can float it out there. Now, it's up to Fallon to handle it the way he wants to handle it. I would have handled it differently and defended myself. He kind of went with it, maybe just put it to bed. But, I think that it's at the end of the day, if it's easier for a person to get into the weeds concerning race, I always bet on me. If someone accuses me of something, I think I've got enough sense to be able to explain and make a person understand, hey, I'm not, and here's why I'm not.
Right.
So if I have to go ahead and defend myself from time to time for something, I would say, I'm going to bet on me that I can get it out there.
But I'm guessing with Fallon, that came from up above.
Probably.
Yeah,
probably.
It was not his decision to do that. He was probably wanted to defend himself, but wasn't allowed to.
That's the way of the world. I mean, it's their ball, their field. You got to play by their rules. So
that's exactly what I was saying.
Unless you're Drew Brees, yeah.
Drew Brees, holy cow.
Wow, what happened there?
Whoa. Oh, man.
There we go.
Man, did he pour gas on that, Ron? Oh. And, it was just starting to be like, all right, maybe a sense of calming down. And you have this older veteran dude in a position of leadership misses the point. Honestly, because of George Floyd, I have changed my attitude about Kaepernick. Like,
there you go.
Joke, I have actually.
Thank you.
I understand 100% where he is, and I think I am not afraid to say that. I think more people need to start to take a look at what makes them tick, and it's okay. It is not a weak thing if you say, I think he's right. It's okay to change your mind. I don't know why people do that, but Brees 100% believes, oh, no, it's a disgrace to the flag. It's not. It's not at all.
It's not about the flag. It's not about the flag at all. And you're right. It was, especially when you have professional athletes who have that, I don't want to call it a bully pulpit so much, but they have followers. They have
exactly.
Social media, and they've all gone out of their way, as they should, to condemn what happened in Minneapolis and all the other instances and all the other racism and all the things they've all experienced in their lifetime. And then there goes to show you there's still a few people that don't get it, that just don't get it.
Right. If I'm the NFL after all of this, because Kaepernick he put his career at stake and lost it. It's gone, or has been gone. Floyd dies because of this, why he should be like the starting quarterback of like the Minnesota Vikings now. I mean, seriously, something has to happen. They got to do something with Kaepernick at this point in time. I don't know if he'd ever even be interested in that type of gig.
I thought somebody did sign him. I will have to see. The whole sports scene has been so chaotic too. I think Kaepernick might have found himself a job, but that would be interesting to put him in Minneapolis. Even though we love Kirk Cousins, it's okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd like to see the stadium that first game.
Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh.
Man, I'm looking at a headline that says USA women's hockey star changes tune on Colin Kaepernick protest. That's fantastic. I don't know who it is. Oh, I know who this person is. Kendall Coyne Schofield is the most decorated female hockey player in America. She's terrific, and she actually participated in last year's NHL All-Star Challenge. And she wrote a statement on social media that she was one of the people who dismissed Kaepernick when he decided to protest. She said since she has listened and learned. How terrific is this?
Amen.
Instead of deleting a misinformed tweet I posted 4 years ago, I should have been clear back then and now, not just knowing it, but I should have said it. Let me be absolutely clear. It was never about the flag. It was never about my family members who served. It wasn't about me. It always was and is about George Floyd and the countless others who came before him. It's about justice and equality. I know better. I will continue to do better. That is fantastic. Wow.
Hallelujah.
So, all right, you know what? On that note, gentlemen, I think that's it. I think we crushed it again, better than ever. I think we're really great.
Well, thanks, Eric, for bringing all that up. I love talking about it with you guys. And if you don't agree with us, change your mind, okay?
Well, and we'd love to hear from you, too. You can send me an email, eric@ericzaneshow.com. I'd love to interact with you about this at any one point in time.
Please share if you get some of those, okay?
I will.
In as well. Okay.
Next week, though, okay? Because of all this stuff that's going on, the Big Mac Chaffle next week. It's gotta happen.
You're right.
I didn't have a chance to bring. I almost brought it up when Ron was talking about restaurants, but then we got into Floyd. So next week,
I'll put it on the calendar. First of all, I won't let you down. I will not let you down, and I will get it on the right time, the right date, and we will discuss the Big Mac Chaffle. It'll change your life.
Have a great day, everybody.
All right, boys. Take care. God bless. Love.
God bless you
Godspeed.
too.
Hugs and kisses. Thank you. Bye-bye.